Alec, what's going on?
Hey, not much.
Yeah?
Yeah, you know, I don't even know how to I don't know how to introduce myself in these. So I'm just,
Well,
it's good. It's all good.
um, this is Tarqaron,
Yes, it is.
and today we're going to be talking about of course, everyone knew we would talk about.
Oh yeah,
Ex-
this was like number one for us. We're like, hey, this is new. We got to talk about it because man, is this topical? Is it totally our thing? It's about game. Oh wait, no, it's not. No,
but, I mean, it's the perfect
it's
follow up to Avengers Endgame, though, for sure.
yeah, it is. Yeah, and kind of an artsy film, right?
Ted Bundy has never been more in than he has in this last year.
It's kind of weird, but actually, like I find a lot of people talking about Ted Bundy these days because of this and because of the documentary series that was before this.
Yeah.
Actually,
And I always meant to watch the documentary series, but I started it
yeah,
and I never finished it.
I never got around to finishing it, or I never got around to starting it, I should say.
Uh-huh.
So, wow, yeah.
But we literally decided to watch this just because it was the first thing that popped up on Netflix, and we're like, all right,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and I was like, hey, I kind of wanted to watch that, so
yeah. I'm always interested in these kinds of things based on actual stories. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. How do you feel about that title, though? It's so long,
I mean, I knew just hearing that had to be a quote from somebody
right?
because
Yeah,
like
and
people
then
just don't normally you wouldn't just come up with a title like that like off the cuff.
yeah,
I didn't because like I knew a lot of stuff about like Ted Bundy, the killings and things, and the trial and how he sort of like acted as his own chief counsel and stuff. And I knew some stuff about it,
oh God,
but
you're
I didn't know
green.
like, oh no,
It happens from time to time. It just
it
happens.
happens. So yeah, I know a lot about the case, but I'd never like I didn't know any real huge specifics about it. I guess.
Same here. Yeah.
So um, so going into this, I was still fairly familiar with Ted Bundy and all that stuff. And the film going into it basically assumes that you are familiar with it also, I think.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess. Yeah, yeah. I knew minimal information about it. Really, I knew the name Ted Bundy. I knew he had killed like 30 people that were known of, and I knew he was one of the like most well known serial killers. I knew he was known for
mhm,
being charismatic and everything, but I didn't know any of the like specific details.
mhm.
And then like after watching this, even I was like, how much of it was based in reality or not? And
Yeah.
I actually looked up a couple of things, and a lot of it seemed to be pretty faithful, though.
It it was pretty faithful. I think I read there were some weird timing things or something that were kind of different in the movie and
Right.
um, certain things. But yeah, yeah, it was from what again from my limited knowledge, it seemed like it was pretty on the level. I mean, obviously some stuff is there for dramatic effect because it's a movie. Um, but
Mm.
but yeah, um,
The biggest thing for me is that I don't know if that the one thing I don't know if was based on reality is that last exchange, or like the thing they started off with was the phone call or the
yeah,
call in the prison, and then they cut back to it at the end to kind of wrap it up. And
yeah,
I don't know if that was actually something that happened or not. Like where
yeah.
he,
I don't either. Because well, here's so the interesting thing about that is because they frame the whole movie. I actually really like this part of the movie.
yeah,
Is that they frame the entire movie trying to make it seem like he's being framed or he is a good guy, kind
yeah,
of. The way it's done is awesome because that's what I mean in that it assumes that you already know about the case because it's like no, you're a horrible person, but the movie is portraying it like he's just this great guy and he's kind of going along his day and it's kind of
yeah,
a almost like a dark comedy in parts of like throughout parts of it,
and
particularly with like the music cuts and stuff that would happen.
yeah.
There were some like comedic edits and music choices in there. So
If
it was
if you
I actually I
yeah
really like that
if
a
you
lot.
watch this without knowing who Ted Bundy was, I would like be on Ted Bundy's side. I guess that's kind of the a problem with it too. I guess it kind of, in a way, it kind of glamorizes him and like his life, because it really does. The whole like large majority of the movie is very much like perspective of he believes that he is innocent almost, and
Yeah,
it really kind of
yeah.
sells that for a while.
It does, but there's clearly a dark undercurrent, even from like the very first time he's around. Like, just when she wakes up and he's gone, they fell asleep next to each other,
Hmm.
and he's gone, and her kid is gone, and then it's just like, oh, he's just making breakfast and she's fine, and but it's just like that's still like boundaries, dude. You just met her last night. That's like
But
that's even in the 70s. That's not okay.
he was the perfect man. He was the perfect specimen at that point. It was like, oh,
I
I
don't
just
know.
I was so worried for nothing because I go over and he is making dinner in an apron, and
And my kid loves him.
yeah,
She loves him. It's like,
like
ooh, yeah. It's just like it's like the weird, creepy. Like it's too perfect. That is something's not right about it. You
and
know, in that essence.
that's what's so weird about this too is it's like it seems very much like a fictional story, but this is actually based on someone's real life. Like
Yeah, yeah,
this real person that this is based on, and like it's definitely primarily from the perspective the of Elizabeth
hmm
for the most part, because you're definitely like you're in the dark for a lot of the stuff, and you're seeing
I
things
think the
from the
movie kind
public.
of loses. Yeah, I think the movie kind of loses sight of her a little bit in the second half because it's focusing a little more on the trial, and she didn't go
Yeah.
to the trial because she had kind of started to completely fall away and distrust him at that point, even though she was still kind of hanging on, at least in the way the movie portrayed it.
Hmm.
Um, so, so yeah, I think and I think that kind of was a little bit to the movie's detriment because I really liked her, but like in the second half of the movie, she almost became like let's just cut back to her and she's moping and she's drinking and it's just like she just sort of became like here she is sad. Like there wasn't any depth to her in the second half of the movie. I didn't feel like they kind of yeah.
Yeah, well,
Um,
that's like the natural limitations of having a movie based on reality is that
yeah, yeah,
it's not gonna have
kind
a
of.
perfect like character arc. You know, you're
Yeah,
gonna have she just kind
yeah,
of fell out of his life, and they needed to finish his whole trial story. So
yeah.
you know they had Carol Carol Ann come in, and
Yep, who did?
yeah,
She did. She wedged her little way in.
that was
So,
beautiful love story there
ugh.
with the
um,
wedding, and I liked at the end too, where even in the credits you could see the actual clips that they
yeah,
took from and compare it, and I'm like, okay, well, Zac Efron did a really good job of actually
yeah.
portraying him.
They make us a pretty awesome thing. Yeah, he looks a lot. He looked a lot like him. It was really
He
great.
did a great job of capturing like the charisma and at the same time the creepiness of him, and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like it definitely felt like the whole time he convinced himself that he was innocent for like most of it. Like that's how convincing he was,
yeah,
is that he believed what he was saying even though he knew he committed all these horrible things.
yeah,
And the movie is also interesting in that it doesn't focus at all on the actual like details of all the horrible things they did, which they could definitely have gone into much more detail, but
yeah.
rather it's just the reaction of everything, and like
Right. The most it kind of goes into is during the courtroom scene, and then at the end when she shows him the photograph of the body that he severed the head of. And
mm,
I think if memory serves, I don't remember specifically, but I think he saved that. He actually like saved the head, if memory serves, as a token.
oh yeah.
I don't remember the specific details of that, but I think they like found that somewhere. Um, but
Hmm.
I could be wrong. I could be conflating that with some other horrible, terrible, miserable person. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you've been saying. I mean, I think Zac Efron's portrayal of Ted Bundy is easily the highlight of the movie. I think he's stellar, terrifying, charismatic, convincing, like to the point of I know in the back of my brain he's a horrible person. And it's creepy and it's weird, but it's also like, but he's so like seems so genuine about like, oh, I'm just getting, it's like I'm the wrong guy, you got the wrong guy, kind of type of thing. And it's just like, oh wow,
And really,
it's kind it's
I really liked Lily Collins too, who played Elizabeth.
yeah, I thought she was great. I've seen her in a few things recently. She was also in the she was Fantine in there was a recent BBC miniseries, the Les Miserables, and so she was in that, and she was great in that too.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like I knew her from something I couldn't remember exactly.
So I looked this up. Did you see the original the Mortal Instruments City of Bones or whatever?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she was Clary Frey in that.
Okay.
And apparently that movie was terrible. She was the main character in that.
Also, I did not expect.
Also,
what?
another thing I found out. I don't know. It's totally weird, totally random segue, but apparently she's the daughter of Phil Collins.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Didn't expect that. Anyway, yeah, I thought she was great too.
Yeah. And she's
Sora from Kingdom Hearts, he shows up too. Haley Joel Osment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy in this. He's just a nice, wholesome gentleman in this movie.
Yeah, I know, and I thought he was gonna really get just like shunned, but they actually ended up just getting together and being happy. That's cool.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh,
he's a very understanding person. It was cool.
Lily Collins is just gorgeous too.
Yep, agreed.
But also did not expect. I didn't know anybody except for Zac Efron going into this movie. Did not expect to see Jim Parsons in there. Sheldon.
Jim Parsons did awesome.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. I do not like Big Bang Theory at all. I thought he was awesome in this movie. I really liked him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Who played the judge again?
John
Malkovich. John Malkovich. Yeah. He was great too. He was awesome. Like honestly, even though really the highlight is Zac Efron, I think the supporting cast did a really good job still.
Mm-hmm.
I thought certainly the acting was kind of the cool thing, because especially, I mean, their main job is just sort of, we're here as like the historical people, the people who were part of it. It was kind of reminiscent of the People versus O.J. Simpson. I don't know if you've seen that series.
I haven't seen that yet. No.
I really enjoyed that series a lot. Parts of this reminded me of that a little bit. Obviously, another huge public court case in this country. But parts of the courtroom stuff kind of reminded me of that. Just the way it was shot and everything. I suppose there's only really a few different ways you can shoot courtroom stuff, but
right. And I mean, in terms of what we're talking about, where you're limited based on how you tell the story because of the story already being told, they still did a really good job, I think. Whether it was from reality or not, I think that prison, the phone call exchange between Elizabeth and Ted, was a really great thing to start it off with. And like, it was a great way to introduce, because they introduced Ted Bundy and their relationship. It was like the typical love story almost, if you didn't know anything. And they made sure to cross-cut that with the phone call of him in the prisoner get-up, so they you know he's not a good guy, so you don't start rooting for him too much. And but I thought it was a really nice way to end it too, and that kind of framed the whole movie. And the whole last exchange, I think that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, that conversation they had too.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. That I think, well, I was already kind of complaining that she sort of turns into just like the one note stock, sort of almost like a stock character. But that scene totally, actually, now that I'm thinking about it again, that scene is great. She's awesome in that scene. She does show a lot of emotional range in that scene. So I kind of take that back a little bit.
Right. I would like how they presented her, her being the one who brought his name up to the police. They presented it as like a plot twist. It was like, oh, what a twist.
Yeah. Well, that was actually a detail I didn't know either. Really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like how they sort of concealed that information for a long time, and then they did try to bring it. I guess sort of brought it up as like as a twist. Um, but I thought it worked really well because it sort of you understood why she was taking it so hard. I guess why she was still
Yeah.
so obsessed with the trial thing, even after she sort of doesn't trust him anymore and kind of gives up on it. It doesn't entirely give up on him, but kind of does. It's kind of complicated,
And
but you sort of
that's
find out why through that admission.
yeah, and
So
that's something just it's so real because if you fall in love with someone like that, and then such horrible stuff comes out about this person, that's gonna have a huge impact on you. You can't just like get
yeah,
over it quickly.
yeah. And
Especially,
just in the way he totally manipulated her feelings in that way.
yeah, just
So like
constant manipulation.
she's
Yeah,
already been screwed up in that way. So
and the
yeah,
fact he never told the truth up until like the very end. So
yeah,
there was always that doubt in her mind, like, was he wrongfully, like, did she get him in that position when he didn't deserve to be, and all that. So it haunted her and really paid off in that scene, I think. Um,
yeah,
Another thing, they had some cool shots in this too, where
yeah,
a lot of it was shallow depth of focus, depth of field, which means like they're in focus, but the background's not. They
yeah,
did that a lot,
yeah,
and I thought especially after like the final verdict was reached, they did a really cool moment where they just zoomed in on Ted Bundy for a long
slow
time.
zooms, very effective. Yeah,
It was
it was
super
great.
good too. Like the tears and just the eyes was awesome.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just can't. That was a great scene, the final one with the hacksaw. And like
Yeah,
I looked up briefly, just the Ted Bundy details, and I didn't see it anywhere. So I don't know if that was a real thing or not, just for the story. Either way, it was really cool.
yeah, really well done stuff.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think that's about. Well, I think we've about talked about it. I think it's a really good movie. It's definitely worth a see.
yeah,
Um, so what would you rate this movie?
it's tough, man. It's really tough to rate a movie like this too. That's like
It kind of is. Yeah,
it's
I'm
not
actually in the
you,
same position.
you can't rate it in the typical way, like about character arcs and framing and like perfect resolution, because it's all based on a real event. So you have to kind
Yeah.
of keep that in mind, and like the way they told everything. It's like in a way I could see it as almost glamorizing him, because even at the end I don't think you still grasp the true like extent of his crimes. Like they just threw in at the end that he had killed 30 people when and through the movie it was like a couple murders they were talking about, and
Yeah.
like a couple of details, but he killed at least 30 people.
Well, those are the
And
ones that the trial was about. That's why.
yeah,
The 30 those came out later because while he was on death row, they found a lot. They were starting to look into a lot of cold cases that were, and they sort of mentioned this. I think Elizabeth sort of mentions this. The police departments looked into a lot of cold cases around the country, and kind of started realizing that some of them fit the descriptions of a lot of the other murders. So then in the last days of his life, when they were bringing some of these details to him, he did finally start to admit to doing them.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yes, but yeah, it's hard to do, but I think this is definitely a unique take. I feel like most adaptations of this story would definitely harp on the gruesomeness of it, so that you like
yeah.
aren't like siding with him at all. Whereas like this showed more of the charismatic side and like his
It,
personality.
it was delving into like how weird his personality was, really, like how quirky, charismatic, manipulative. And there's always like a hidden layer of like something wrong, something's not right with this guy,
Yeah.
and yeah, really good acting job. I didn't expect something this awesome from Zac Efron, but yeah, I think he did an awesome job.
Oh yeah, and
Um,
another thing,
I,
I looked up because I was like, when he jumped out of that window, that one part
mhm.
where the cop was distracted, I was like, did he really do that? I'm like, yeah, he did. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
did
Yep.
he
Yeah,
really?
that was actually that was a detail I knew. Yeah, that he escaped. They escaped from custody. Custody. He jumped out a window and sprained his leg, and then he didn't get caught for another few days.
Yeah, and then
So
did he cut out the top of that 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 ceiling. Yeah, he did that too. Okay. Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like he actually is just a character in real life.
Yeah.
Mass murder, and,
So.
and there was like some other stuff too that he did after escaping that they didn't show entirely. Like he like stole from people and had like got like a rifle and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he did all that. Okay.
If I had to give this a grade, I'd probably give it. I'd say just for Zac Efron's performance, I'd probably give it like an 8.5.
Okay.
I really thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
I think analyzing the rest of the movie as a whole, it's probably like a 7, 7.5 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's kind of restricted, like you said about like the kind of what it is, but like his performance alone, I think elevates the film beyond just a normal, like a documentary style. But and the thing is, like the other part of the style of it too is like is the weird like dark comedy elements to it too, and so like that also I really enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, that's probably where I'm sitting at. So like movie as a whole, probably like 7.5. 7.5 I think is what I'll go with.
Oh, you're going to 7.5.
So.
Okay.
I mean, or 8.5. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I was torn between two scores as well. But,
okay.
So what's your final verdict?
Maybe I'll just average them. I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
Boom. There you go.
That's my score too.
Final score. All right, give it an 8.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. So
Cool.
That's a Tarqaron score of 8 out of 10.
Boom. Tarqaron score. There you go.
Yeah, I think Zac Efron was amazing in it. Lily Collins was great in it too, and supporting characters were great. And like, given what they had to work with, it's hard to fault them for a lot of it. I feel like they definitely could have shown the more gruesome side more to make him less likable, like because you only see glimpses of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like you don't get too much insight into that because that's like kind of the unknown. They based a lot of it on the reactions of Elizabeth to the whole thing, and also even like it's Ted Bundy's reactions to a lot of it too, which
Yeah.
again are
Which
almost
adamantly I didn't do it.
yeah. And he had a lot of great moments where he got to do speeches within the courtroom and outside. So yeah, I think it's great.
All right. I hope Lily Collins is in more things. She's really great. I like her a lot.
Yeah. Zac Efron, I'd love to see more roles like this too.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. He's in a few more serious roles. I'd be okay with that too.
And especially seeing the clips at the end, it was just so spot on with. Like, I'm really glad they stayed so faithful, at least to what we saw there. It was like literally the exact movements, and he captured a lot of the mannerisms and stuff too. It was great. That's it.
All right.
8 out of 10.